Geoff's Wonderland.
And a hearty welcome to the 100th episode of The Wonderland, now in its third year and seventh season. So if that's not something to celebrate, then I'd like to know what is. Actually, I really would like to know what is, because I happen to like celebrating things, as does the human race at large. And I think we like celebrating things because it takes our mind off our problems, and it also gives us a reason to kind of slap ourselves on the back in a quasi-congratulatory fashion for a lot of stuff that we weren't really responsible for in the first place. I'm talking about, birthdays, New Year's Eve, Christmas, national days. The list goes on. Now, there's something good about not being responsible for these things, because it means we don't have to take the blame for them either, which is always nice. Of course, if you are responsible for something good, then you should celebrate. And if there's champagne and cake and sushi involved, you should also invite me. And maybe Little Kev as well, although he is something of a two-pot screamer, or maybe even a one-pot screamer, depending on what's in the pot concerned. Now, for this, our 100th episode, we're going to lift the lid on something which I'm sure many of you will find enlightening. And we're going to do it right now, courtesy of a legendary segment known throughout the podcasting universe as the Platinum Standard for information dissemination, and one which is exclusively exclusive to the Wonderland. Yes, that's right, exclusively exclusive. And it's theory time.
Yo, you can't know what you can't know. I'm gonna tell you what I think I know. And I know what I know. This is what I know. Theory time.
And welcome to the 100th edition of Theory Time. Now, in the area of gods, heroes, and legends, there's no doubt that ancient civilizations really had it covered. And we're not just talking about the Egyptian, Greek and Roman deities either. I mean, there were also the Chinese gods, the Japanese gods, the Babylonian gods, the Mayan gods, the Celtic gods, the Aztec gods, the Hindu gods and the Norse gods. Not to mention a whole bunch of goddesses and a few assorted animals as well. And there's no doubt in my mind that Marvel Studios definitely owe the ancient world something of a living. Anyway, I did a little bit of research into this, and it turns out that there were quite a few more mythical personalities back in ancient times than just the bog-standard ones that we are currently familiar with. It's almost as if back then, if it was a noun, somebody would come up with a god for it, which, if you think about it, was probably one way that people killed time without mobile phones or social media. Although recorded history does suggest that they also killed a lot of time by killing each other. Anyway, I'm sure that most of you will have heard about, famous legends like Damocles, Hercules, Achilles, and Hermes, but I'm guessing that a lot of you may not know about a couple of other ancient heroes who haven't had a lot of coverage. And so, right here on The Wonderland, for the very first time in recorded history, and thanks to years of painstaking research by our archaeological division, we are going to reveal a few more major figures of ancient worship than seem to have been acknowledged and that seem to have been lost in the mists of time, possibly for good reason. And so, first of all, is a legendary figure who was known for his mythical ability to level things out in various areas. That's right, I'm talking about Equivocles. Not to be mistaken for his cousin, Unequivocles, the Greek god of being definite about everything. Next we have Spectacles, the Greek god of prescription eyeglasses, and Bicycles, the Roman god of two-wheeled transportation, followed by the Egyptian deity for frozen refreshments, Popsicles, and last but not least, the universally recognised god of examinations and assessments, at that point in history at least, whose name was, of course, Testicles. I should point out that that last one is often confused with the Gaelic god of virility, although I have no idea why.
This is what I know. Theory time.
And that was today's unusually educational edition of Theory Time, and Once again, the Wonderland streaks into pole position as podcasting's powerhouse of essential information. So anyway, we now find ourselves looking down the barrel of the next segment, Song of the Day, which is another entry from Loftus, one of our Wonderland-approved artists. This particular track is off the latest album, Northern Tales, and it's called Summer.
Just lately I have been thinking things you won't believe. I thought I lost my mind. I would wait, just sit tight all through the day, not sleep at night, and still tell you I was fine. It was clear for all to see, for everyone except for me. I was so scared, I couldn't breathe, and I felt useless, spent, and arrogant, ambitionless, say what you want, and I miss just being me. I think in the next life I'm gonna change things, make them so right. Song that bites, that everybody likes, for the song that bites, that everybody likes. When you have much, you only get more. You never stuck down on the ground floor. Take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the summer. Overjoyed in a void, emotionless at best, annoyed. I still get down someday, but I feel like I got time to get my life back on the line. Cause fortune favors the brave, and it was clear for all to see, for everyone except for me. I was so scared, and I couldn't breathe, and I felt useless, spent, and arrogant, ambitionless, say what you want, and I miss just being me. I think in the next life I'm gonna change things, make them so right. Song that bites, that everybody likes, for the song that bites, that everybody likes. When you have much, you only get more. You never stuck down on the ground floor. Take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song. Everybody's rich in the song. I think in the next life I'm gonna change things, make them so right. Song that bites, that everybody likes, for the song that bites, that everybody likes. When you have much, you only get more. You never stuck down on the ground floor. Take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song. Everybody's rich in the song. You can take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song. You can take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song. Take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song. You can take the hits, cause everybody's rich in the song.
And that was the beautifully contemplative Summer from Mark C. Cole's Loftus. And rather appropriate, because it is indeed summer. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you check out the Northern Tales album, which you'll find on any of the major music streaming services. And yes, right now it is actually summer here in Europe and in several other parts of the world. So with that in mind, we're now going to strip down to our swimmers, grab a cold beverage out of the esky, and cool off with a special warm weather edition of
Good Times with Big Geoff,
Little Kev.
Well, Kevin, what can I tell you?
Well, I can tell you something that I'm incredibly hot. This is like recording in a sauna. I came into this, to my little studio here. It's just so hot. I don't know what to do with myself.
Well,
this is going to be a limited experience,
Well,
Geoff.
Kevin, a limited experience, does that mean like, for a limited time only and people should get in, should
Exactly.
get it while it's hot?
Get it while it's hot. Yeah, baby.
There you go. No, it's interesting, Kevin, because, of course, folks, it is summer. It's summertime. And we don't mind saying that
Yeah.
because we can. And, well, I mean, Kevin,
Because we can't. Because seasons should never be
they
embarrassing.
should never be embarrassing. They should never be hidden or fraudulently suggested as being something other than they are. But why would anyone do that?
Imagine like in the middle of winter, go, wow, is it ever hot here? Whoa.
Yeah, and we're
Man,
standing outside.
I'm in my flip-flops and just freaking out
Yeah,
hot.
but then you would have to add, and I'm standing outside in the car park, just to, And everyone's wondering,
Trying to get
coats and covered in
cool
snow,
down,
but
yeah.
I am frickin'
Yeah.
boiling. Yeah, people would stop
Exactly.
listening to the program immediately, which was a wonder. They probably already have in our case.
Maybe they're not even listening
They're
now.
probably not.
Exactly.
But, Kev, people are weird, right? People are weird. Now, I need you to agree with me on that before we...
Not you and I, of course.
No,
not you
no.
and I.
No,
But
no.
but everyone else is very, very
all of those
weird.
other
Yeah.
freakazoids out there listening to us, God knows. Oh, first of all,
Exactly.
if they weren't, why would they be listening to this?
Exactly. It's totally
That's my point.
pointless.
Okay, so anyway, what I wanted to say, I had this thought the other day, and I thought I must share this with Kevin. And mate,
Oh, wait.
I'm waiting.
Everybody,
Waiting.
Jeff had a thought.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but Kev, it comes.
Wow.
It comes with a caveat, and the caveat, good.
A caveat,
yeah, caveat,
yes.
The caveat is that it's not necessarily a good one. It's probably a stupid one. But no, it's not.
Okay, here
now,
we go.
I'm going to run it by you and ask for your comment, Kevin. All right?
Okay, should you run it past me or run it by me?
Run it, run it past you. As it's running past you, just grab it, by the lapels and kind of drag it off to the side and give it a bit of a shake and say, sit the
Yeah.
hell down.
Right.
Okay, so.
Exactly.
Most people would absolutely frickin' lose it if they suddenly came across someone called, in normal life, called Marcus L. Bank Check or Frederick Visa Card or even Janet Contactless Payment. And yet, we're perfectly fine with the name Johnny Cash. Kevin, over to you.
Oh, that's wrong. That's so
Now,
wrong.
really, come on.
It's just,
A bit of perspective now.
man, when did you think of that? On the throne, as it were? Jeff?
I would prefer not to say.
Everyone's fine with Johnny Cash, right?
Yeah, but-
right. Well, he was one hell of an
He
artist.
was a hell of an artist. He's and then of course you had a guy called Johnny Paycheck as well. Remember him?
Oh.
No, there was a guy called Johnny
right.
Paycheck.
Johnny Paycheck.
Yeah, back in the day, I think in the early 70s, maybe late 60s, who sang a song, and you will know the song. You can take this job and shove it.
Oh my
Remember
God! I totally forgot about that, and for good
And for
reason.
good- Yes, well done, Kev. You've done your work for today. Good one.
Yeah, thank you, and good night, or
But-
good afternoon, or good morning.
But seriously, it just gives us an idea of how weird our perspectives are. So, this is not really meant to reflect, the value of cash versus other forms of payment. However, it
Right.
does. I think there's an underlying thing there where we're really comfortable with cash, aren't we? I mean, paying with notes and bills.
Well-
we are. We just are.
If you were to compare like Johnny Cash to Johnny Paycheck, who lasted longer?
Well, Johnny Cash definitely did, yeah, because you don't know how long you're going to be
Here you
getting a
go.
paycheck for, do you?
That's
Yes.
it. That's it.
But-
and I rest my
Well,
case.
thank you very much. What's in it, though? Is it worth stealing or just leave it there?
I don't know. Do you have a point to this whole thing? Is there a
my
point to
point
this
is
whole thing?
simply that, the name Janet, contactless payment, will never, ever be taken seriously. And you know how you have some governments who will allow certain names, like, but they're mostly not second names, they're Christian names. They won't allow your first name to be Wingspan Doodle McDonald, for example.
What?
Well, no. If you...
Okay, I'm waiting for a punchline
the
here. Go
punchline
ahead. Go
is
ahead.
that you have a daughter who has a normal name. If you had gone, when she was born, if you'd gone to the births and register, where you register the name,
Yeah,
and you'd
right,
said,
right.
I'm calling my child Wingspan Doodle Dump McDonald.
Oh, yeah, or exactly.
They would have said no.
Yeah, something
they would
like
have
that.
said no. Seriously, they can't just accept anything. So, contactless payment, you could change your name by deed poll. If you had been Johnny Cash, he'd be like, no, I've been Johnny Cash my whole life. It's a new era now. We have these cards that you tap on things. Now, that was a bit before Johnny Cash's time, admittedly. But if it, let's say that Johnny Cash's family, the people who've gone on, Roseanne Cash, for example, they might say, I'm sick of being Roseanne Cash. I want to be something a bit more up to date. So, Roseanne contactless payment. And she goes into the office where you change your name by deed poll. What would they say? Would they say no, or would they say no, or would they say we'll get back to you?
Maybe.
Right.
We'll get back to you.
Yes, exactly, folks. And honestly, on that cliffhanger of a note,
Good times with Big Geoff and Little Kev.
Yes, that's it for Good Times once again, and Little Kev and I will be back with another brand new edition in 2 weeks, provided we can get the air conditioning fixed. Now, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you'll have noticed that I do have certain pet peeves, not the least of which is the tendency for people to innovate with no good reason. I've even considered doing a regular segment on just that subject, but for now I'm just going to dip my toe in the water again and tackle a couple of currently common English language expressions which nobody would have heard, say, more than 5 years ago, maybe slightly more, but not much, and which I believe should have been laughed out of existence from day one. Anyway, let's lift the lid on this literal litany of linguistic lunacy as we contemplate
Geoff's thought of the day.
I was thinking about something. I think it was the thought of the day. I think it was the thought of the day.
And welcome to Thought of the Day. Even though language has always evolved over time, I for one don't believe that making utterly pointless changes to it should be part of that evolution. On the other hand, there are new words and expressions being added to the language all the time, which are actually succinct, humorous, and well-conceived. But not the three I'm about to point the finger at. Now, I realise that some of you might be perfectly happy with them, but if you think about it, their existence is utterly pointless, as the ones we had already were perfectly fine. I mean, why do we have to change things that don't need changing? Are we really that bored? Or is there some linguistic think tank out there whose job it is to come up with new expressions in an effort to keep people interested or distracted? Anyway, here are 3 redundant expressions commonly used nowadays which didn't exist until recently and which I strongly suspect were invented somewhere in America. Number 1, going forward. So, wasn't in future good enough? Anyway, I'd be willing to give this one a pass under the sole condition that the expression going backward now be used instead of previously or in the past. Okay? Because that would make just as much sense. Number 2, at this time. Well, let's see what we have had before for this one. How about for the moment, or currently, or hey, even now? Yeah, it's easy to see why those expressions weren't working. And finally, we come to number 3, and this one's my personal favourite. Reach out. I would really like to find the little genius who came up with this one, reach out with both arms and throttle him or her. I mean, what's wrong with the word contact? It's more concise, it's easier to say, and it's straight to the point. But as if self-congratulation isn't out of hand enough as it is, I actually think this one was made up to make whoever has reached out look like they deserve a gold star for doing so. So, let's all remember, folks, reaching out is something you do with your arms, especially if you're drowning. At this time should be used regarding when the kids should be asleep, and going forward is something you mostly do when you're driving a car.
I think it was the thought of the day.
And on that somewhat cathartic note, we say farewell to Thought of the Day and our 100th episode of The Wonderland. Thanks to Little Kev for his invaluable contribution to our Good Times segment, and as always, thanks to all of you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please do spread the word and leave us a rating and a comment, and if you want to drop me a line for any reason, you can do that on jeffswonderland@yahoo.com. For now, though, it's time to return to reality. But I'll be back again in 2 short weeks with yet another essential installment of The Wonderland.
Gotta get back to Geoff's Wonderland. Gotta come back to the Wonderland. Geoff's